Ready? Huh. Right, you ready?
Ready when you are, sunshine.
Unique New York.
You best try
I'm
that
Dan
one again. That
Watson.
didn't come out very well.
Eh?
You best
I
try that again.
can't start again. I've said I'm Dan Watson. Welcome to
Did
the
you? I
dirt.
didn't hear
What's your name?
that. Slogs.
Slogs. Sweet. The guest name this evening is Dan Wilson. Let's get him in here. This is a long time been coming, this one.
Yeah, looking forward to this one.
Another history lesson, we should say, because Dan has been within the scene for an absolute eon, and is has you've possibly ridden, if not seen, artwork of his throughout your time as a mountain boarder, especially if you've been around on the block for a little while. Um, yeah,
Same.
Dan Wilson, aka Decreate, aka a massive part of Remolition, aka a massive part of ATB Mag, aka a massive part of MBS, aka a massive part of fucking mountain boarding in the UK.
Easy.
Easy? No, there's
That's what makes me
gonna be a
comfortable.
right. Here's the deal. You sat with two proper geeks now, and there's going to be a little bit of sucker uppery here, Dan. There has to be. You
My
might not.
ego isn't big enough, as my missus will tell you.
Good evening, mate. How's it going?
It's good, Slogs. You, mate?
Yeah, I'm all right, man. Thank you.
Sweet. Sweet. Nice to see you both. Looking
Indeed,
gorgeous, as
indeed.
always.
It was just saying, I think the last time I saw you, you was busy decorating the back of a van down at Bugs with at the back behind the quarter pipe where we store a load of gubbins for events and stuff, ticker tape and
Sounds about right.
and a fine.
Mountainboard events are quality because I do get I have a ride and I have a paint as well. So it's like two of the best hobbies going.
Oh, without doubt. We quick question off the bat. Will you be
Yeah.
going to Mount Fest this year and displaying a bit or doing a bit of work there?
Oh, I don't know about doing work actually. So this year, should be going for the day. I've got a 3.5-year-old daughter who's amazing. So I think we're going to bring her for some of the grass sled action.
Yes.
Just come for the day. But if the family aren't coming, then I'll come for the weekend and do some painting and
Yeah.
stuff.
I think there's a few other artists down there that weekend.
Yeah, there's some lovely guys who have been doing it for years. Simon's been doing it for 10 years now. So I've
Yeah.
met quite a few of the guys who do the spray can and all that kind of stuff. And funnily enough, I saw Simon and Mark the other day, which is cool. They came over this way and they took me out on an e-board around my local Kingswood. And I was ragging around Kingswood on an e-board, going up hills that I normally ride down. And my legs are still dead now. It's just ridiculous.
It's a different world, isn't it? Going up a hill.
Bonkers. I was like, oh, I don't know.
Was that your first experience of an e-board?
No, I've had a couple of goes. Like Ted gave me a go, other events and stuff. So I've had a play, but I haven't like stood on one and gone riding.
Yeah, that's it. In a place that you're comfortable in and know as well. It's
yeah.
different.
It was surreal. It was surreal. And I have to admit, I haven't, I'm rusty. I haven't been since my daughter was born. My riding has kind of just dropped right down. So I think I've only been on my board like once this year, half a dozen times last year, which for me is not very much at all. Like
it happens, thankfully we are just coming out of the end of that sort of period of not being able to do it because of the children, where we're now moving into the period of are able to do it with the children.
Yeah, get the kids on board.
Yeah, and once that happens, you game on again. It's like round two.
I am looking forward to getting back on it. But I've always kind of I've got a local spot which I call the gym, which is just a grassy slope, which has always been just a place where I don't have to pad up. It's just like wrist guards on, ride board, and it's just kind of like surfing, just like linking turns, little jumps at the bottom, and walking back up, and keeps you fit. Ride for an album with your headphones on. You know, that's what has kept me going for the last few years.
Nice. Nice.
Yeah.
I need to find a local gym. I mean, okay, you've got the e-board, but just to have a little gradient somewhere that an open grass space, like you say, to put some turns in, do a couple of switcheroos, and you know.
Yeah, so where I live is like it's at the foothills of the Chilterns, so it is like perfect for it around here. There's loads of valleys. None of the walks are more than kind of 10 minutes back up, and
Yeah.
all the locals are just kind of like, yeah, short, wicked runs. You know, it's just keeps me
Oh, happy day.
kept me around this area. Frankly, like back in when I started mountainboarding, it was like a reason to stay in where I grew up, kind of thing.
Yeah. And you mentioned there that Kingswood is quite local to you, because obviously that's a renowned place in the UK, which I have to hold my hand up, haven't ridden. Maybe
Yeah.
we could change that.
Yeah, slogs haven't been there either. But what's really lovely is I grew up at the top of the hill, like 2 minutes away. My mum and dad still live there. And yeah, I grew up kind of BMXing and playing in the woods there. So it's like my spiritual home. Like I always say, you can scatter my ashes in Yaffle Glade. You know, yeah, it's like one of those favourite spots in the world, kind of thing. It's just.
I mean, that's it's kind of a nice little segue there, because I can quite easily chuck in. Is that where you cut your teeth mountain boarding?
Kind of. It's where I cut my free ride teeth, I suppose, because I'd been riding a bit with some other guys previously, and it was only after kind of once I found out there was a scene for mountain boarding, suddenly my eyes were open to everything, and I was like, well, why am I not riding in these places where I know like the back of my hand? Like, yeah, so I wasn't riding there initially. I didn't cut my teeth there, kind of thing. But
yeah. So how did you come to find mountain boarding then, Dan?
So I always, you know, it's that classic of always being into. My brother was into BMX when I was 10. My brother was into BMXing and stuff, so I was into BMXing as well. And then just skateboarding down hills. We were, you know, burning around on BMXs and stuff throughout, and mountain bikes. Then I was lucky to go skiing with my mum and dad on holiday from about the age of 10 for a few years in a row. And then when I was 16, 1990. So I'm 50 this year. 1990, snowboards had just come out in the mainstream. We hired them for an afternoon, and I never skied again.
Were you still in ski boots on those?
Yeah.
I was going to say, I think I did my first snowboard in ski boots at around the same time.
Got a photo somewhere. I don't know where that is. I won't go. Hard boots, a giant mono ski. The first time we did snowboarding, it was actually a mono, so it was feet side by side. It wasn't even board style. And that was rubbish. But the following year, it was 1990, that like regular, you know, boarding stance. Out, and because I'd done some skateboarding and stuff, I like had a head start, and I have that. I don't know, mountain boarder switch, which is like no fear of just bombing down a hill really quickly, because I've done it since dot.
Yeah, well, speed is certainly your friend with him in both, really, to a degree, isn't it? I think if it's certainly with snowboarding, the not embracing the speed is the easiest way to start catching edges, isn't it? You know, you've got a bit of pace, everything becomes clear.
I think it was a bit of that snowboard edge and crossed with like BMXing in the woods and mountain biking and that kind of aspect. Was always great. And I suppose when I discovered mountain boarding in like 2002, I think it was, and some mates of mine who were, you know, they were into kites. They were into you know, power kites kind of thing. And one day they went to a festival, came back with a board, and they were just like, "You got to come out and play with this." And I was like, "Let's dump the kite, and we're just going to take that down Ivanhoe Beacon, which is this big, massive hill near where they lived in Aylesbury." And we just sessioned that, and then it became a regular thing of us sharing a board, and then we got another board, and then I inherited their old board when they got a new one. And that was actually just when the the first snowboard shaped Comp 16 came out.
Yeah, the Jay Lee one.
Yeah, which was just like the coolest looking thing because they were a bit funky prior to that because it's like whatever it was, a Scrub, Furnace Creek, or a Lion Canyon, or something terrible like that was the first boards I rode on. But yeah, we were just having fun. We were just having fun on hills, just bombing them, not knowing what we were doing, really making it up as we were going along. And then after maybe not even a year of riding ourselves, just not knowing that anybody else was doing that on the planet, doing them downhill, I went into Smith's, and there was ATB Mag, and it was like, oh my god! there's all these people doing it. There's a series. It's it's everywhere.
It still blows me away that ATB Mag was in WH Smith.
Yeah.
Like walking, like the sport that you love so much, you walked into like this major shop and it was there next to all these other mags. It blew me away every time I seen that.
Yeah. Were you riding? How long were you riding slugs? When did you start?
I don't know. What do you reckon, Dan?
This why we got him here, Dan. This is why we got him here.
Maybe 2003, 2004, maybe earlier.
Fine, maybe.
Yeah, I think you were around the 2000 because you were longboarding before, weren't you? Before when you met us all Greenwich and that.
I was dirt surfing.
That's right. You were dirt surfing.
I met with all these boys when I was on a dirt surfer, and they introduced me to mountainboarding.
So I've got a feeling if I started in 2002, I reckon you're
year after.
got involved with the London crew in early 2003, I reckon.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
And then at some point during that season, I reckon, or early 2004, that would have been prime Lardass time there.
Yeah. So that was that first thing. It was like, it was weird actually, because I suppose what I did, because I'd already designed a series of snowboards at that point, because I was affiliated, or I know my local skate and snowboard shop in Wickham was called Mountainboarding Centre, BBC.
Yeah.
And Steve there is a legend. He set up the local skate park, and his son was a pro snowboarder, and really great guys. And I did all their signage as well and designed their logo and stuff like that. It was
the handwritten black on white font in a slightly metallic.
Yeah.
I remember it well.
It was basically ripped off of the Beastie Boys' "Check Your Head" album.
Which I know very well.
Yeah, this legendary graffiti writer called Hayes from New York, and that was where I kind of wrote that. See that Decreate in the background? That's like my standard graffiti kind of style or handwriting, which is basically from copying that in 1990 or whenever that came out, 1991, something.
There you go. Another stream.
Yeah, so Bucks Boarding was quite. I was involved with them, and through them, I designed a series of snowboards for a. Do you remember a clothing label called Dope?
Yeah.
I don't know if you know Dope, but they had an offshoot company called FSU, which stood for Fuck Shit Up. And it was like a kind of anarchic punky skate brand, and they did a low run of snowboards. I think there was only like 50 of each board pressed or something, but that was my first board design graphic. That I was fucking stoked.
Didn't have little like pamphlet catalogs at the time.
Yeah,
like
there was a pamphlet,
5-size ones that had listings of them. In the back. So I probably would have cast my eyes over it for sure.
It was cool. It was featured in like white lines and stuff like that. That's boards come out and all this. And the boards were really different, but pretty cool. So I think what happened with mountainboarding then is, after I've been mountainboarding for like 6 months, and then found ATB Mag, the first thing I did after reading it cover to cover, every single word, poring over it, was I just got in touch. I just sent them a message straight away saying, "Hi, I've been riding for a while," and they said, "Well, there's an event coming up soon. Come along to it. Come and meet us. Come and say hello, and we'll introduce you to the scene," kind of thing. Come to a comp. That's where you'll meet other people. So that's what I did. So that was then the Max Track Classic 2003, 2003, 2004.
East Nord,
Diesel Castle.
Yeah. And then I'll be honest, one of the first things we saw when we arrived was Team Bad in all their horrible ice hockey jerseys in a giant boat bombing down the hill, shouting.
Yeah.
Like, these guys, like, I don't know if this is my scene, really.
Fucking no snow trucks on it. Well, it looked fucking deadly.
Beck at the helm.
Yeah. So I've always been a bit of a, an island unto myself kind of thing anyway, and I still am, but I'm still it's connections, isn't it? It's kind of like being part of something, yet still being your own thing. So I think what happened was, rather than joining like a local crew, so like you mentioned, Lard, which was the London and Regional District group of riders, I didn't know any of those guys, yet were kind of on my doorstep at that point. And yet I was then kind of meeting, all the top lads who were being photographed, and all the freestylers, and all the Rat Pack, as they were called back then. So that was my kind of in. So I kind of bypassed a load of hard work, I think, just by doing some doodles that people liked. Which is pretty cool.
But, I mean, they certainly did, because they were featured like in nigh on every episode, not every episode, every issue. Thank you. I got a few. Yeah, thank you. There was a time where your artwork would be in like the background of the articles and stuff like that. There was, your own comic strips.
Right, so I could tell you.
Here's some Max shiz. Yeah, go on, Slogs. What are you saying?
The Max Track Classic with the Team Bad boat featured in November 03's ATB mag.
There you go.
That would have been
Austin Robbins on the Portugal Gap, by the looks of things, on the front there.
Yeah. So that would have been. It would have been what? It would have been August, September, maybe, the Max Track Classic of 2003.
Yeah, that sounds right. I think there was a Matrix rip-off on their T-shirt.
Yes, there was.
Yes.
Oh, I could well have that one here.
You probably got it.
Hold the phones. You hold the episode.
Yeah, so here you go, Slogs. So here's a load of stuff that was ATB mag. So these are like just the original drawings. Like, I think that was. So what they did is Annie and Jay asked me, "You can come back in a minute."
Wait, I'll put you up on a different screen so that people at home can see you on the big screen there.
People at home. Oh, right. Oh, okay. So that was for a Dirt Heads. So basically, she said, Annie said, you can have the back page and do whatever you like there. So I did the back page for three or four issues, which was stuff like I was doing art, and then on the computer I was kind of layering up text and other images and stuff over these kind of images. And then she'd get an issue. Basically, the back page went to somebody else, or for another feature or whatever. And I just started doing illustrations, like whenever she needed a spot illustration for it, or I had an idea for, I want to do a comic strip, can I have a page in this next issue or whatever. So there's loads of stuff like that. So this one was like illustrations for Dirt Heads thing, like the American riders. So it's got there's the Grab Guide, the original artwork for the Grab Guide, which is what's that? So that's in this one, which is May 2005, which is, it's just priceless stuff, isn't it? This ATB mag was so cool.
Oh, it blew me away.
So there's the Grab Guide, and that's the original artwork for it. So what I think, part of the original artwork, because what I've always done is kind of like do the original artworks and then used to scan them in and then collage it all in Photoshop, basically. So I'd put on all these extra bits and some of the other characters and whatever. There you go.
Nice.
So there's loads more. I've got folders and folders and sketchbooks full of this stuff. There's an artist's impression of an ATB mag tour bus that actually turned into Fanny Bus, I think, that we went round Europe in. There's a colour version. That was an illustration about something else. There was some sketches and drawings. So these are just like the original artworks. I think that one's in the photo annual. So the photo annual was bizarre as well, because I'd only like known the guys for like 5 minutes, and they invited me to have a double page spread in Paul Taylor's, like the amazing photographer, and it's his own photo annual. And then for some reason they gave me 2 pages in it, but I did a load of stuff. That was like a mountain board game. It was in another. Oh, there we go. That's the one.
So nice riding, Mr. Anderson.
Yeah, nice one. Nice one, Dan. That's it. So I knew it was a Matrix thing.
That's
Visual
it.
brain, something like that. So what else is in this one? Yeah, there's more kind of just like, I've got reams and reams and reams of these things. But ATB Mag was brilliant, because I went down to them in Devon. Is it Devon or Cornwall? Devon. Where the base was, and hung out and stayed down there quite a few times. And there's some really cool moments, like going with the guys when they were. One of their mates was like a welder, and he was building a new rail for the backyard or something, and I was spray canning all the boards, for like Downey and Beast and all the Rat Pack guys who were at the time like the best UK riders in the scene, if you like. So yeah, it was really lucky, including so this one is, what's this, October 04. Dicko on the cover there, little baby Dicko, and he was like,
he's not got his ears on the helmet though there.
Oh yes, no.
He's actually a big boy there.
There's a cheesy picture of me in right there. So moments like this were just priceless. It's just like, I'm in the magazine. I'm not even riding. So I think at the time, because I've never really been into freestyle either. This is the thing. Like I'm a free rider. It's a bit of a soul sport. I'm happy with skills. I've done basic freestyle, like grabs, and snowboarding. I used to do 3s and 180s. 180s. I've done a few 3s ever on a snowboard years ago. I actually busted my arm snowboarding, which kind of gave me a fear with it. It was my drawing arm, and I kind of just had this psychological block. And I didn't start mountainboarding. So when I started mountainboarding, I was 30 or 28, 29, whatever. Actually, I think I was turned 30 when we went on the ATB Mag European tour. I think I was turning 30 then. But yeah, so I've never been a freestyler, and competitions, I like BX, but I don't like racing. It's just, I have this inherent thing of like, if I know people are taking a photo of me, or I know there's other people there and people are watching me, I just fall over, or I forget how to do it, or I don't know. It's something weird. It's weird as well, because obviously being an artist and painting murals and stuff, I'm totally used to that now. So I think there's something about, I don't even know what it is, but yeah, like I like freestyle, but I can't really do it. I can do. That's why any photos of me and you go, oh, he's doing a cool grab. It's like, that's the only grab I can do. It's just like 2 grabs. About it.
You're in good company here, Dan. You're in good company, don't you worry.
You're in very good company as far as freestyle is concerned.
I always said it's like I'm happy with the skills that I've got, and I like taking them to different places.
Yeah.
So for free rider, as a free rider, it's about getting a beautiful view and getting a great day out, and cleansing your soul in nature, man.
I think that's probably why you prefer doing border cross alone as opposed to racing, because although I'm not saying you wouldn't go free riding as a group and do trains and mass descents and stuff like that. But adding the competitive edge in there means that you're taking the potential friendliness out of it, aren't you? So if you
and it's quite contrary, because as you know, a lot of the riders, that is a camaraderie as opposed to a competition. But I don't know. There is something about a solo sport in doing that in company kind of thing, as opposed to a direct competition, which for some reason I don't know. Maybe I'm too competitive. Maybe if I actually do it, I'm quite and if somebody's cuts me up, I'd be really knocked off, and I'd be like,
the red mist would come down.
People wouldn't see a nice side of me. as Roger Swanell used to say, it was my middle name, Dan the Rage Wilson. I'm a super calm guy until you piss me off. And then,
That's it. It's like a silent Bruce Banner there.
Yeah.
So I mean, like you say, on you went on tour with the ATB mag, flew around Europe and stuff like that, and spent copious amounts of hourage in arguably some of the best competitive riders
yeah,
in
yeah,
the country at the time.
yeah, for
Did
sure. I
that
mean,
not ever that never rubbed off on you? There was no
yeah, so
pressure
it
from
did. Yeah.
them to get you to push
No,
on?
there was never any pressure on getting me to do freestyle or anything. I think it was just the only pressure was do some riding and have some fun. I think when
Yeah,
I went on tour with the guys, they were the pros and they were all, and I was a little bit like apprehensive being on tour with all these like sick riders.
yeah,
And then me like just kind of rolling slowly at the back. So a little bit of me can't, well, I'm the artist in residence. So like, this is my job. So I've actually got a couple of those as well. So these are, so I actually, bizarrely, I kind of stopped sketchbooking as much as I used to, but I used to sketch every day. It was just a thing in my head that I would do 2 pages every day. So I've got my own library of art sketchbooks that nobody ever sees because they're at home. And it's quite a nice thing. So this one is, let's see, 2005 on tour with, so that's on the bus, on the tour bus. You can see there's a skateboard holding the door together
yeah.
because it's a bus, which is pretty quality.
Was
Um,
that
out the window, some pylons, of course. I like drawing pylons out the car windows. And there's, what's that, Lodge de Gare, maybe? Oh, no, that's the bike park in Germany.
yeah,
Little watercolor. I think that's Lodge de Gare in France.
that was a
Wow,
fantastic place.
So yeah, so there was really, I mean, the tours was amazing. It was slightly sad at the end because we didn't know that the tour was going to be like it finished off the mag really,
Yeah,
because you know, as people know, Jay and Annie put everything into the magazine, and I think there was stuff happened because of scars and because the scene wasn't big enough to support different magazines
yeah,
almost. And yeah, I mean, it was a change in time, and they had a young family, and it was just like, you know, the magazine had to kind of wrap up,
yeah.
unfortunately. But yeah, I mean, it was not after we'd all, you know, had some amazing events and met so many amazing people through that.
Oh, without a doubt, ATB Mag as a whole was pivotal in creating, you know, the wave of mountain boarding in the UK, really.
Yeah,
You know, without that, it's hard to publicize a mountain board center, let alone 10 of them around the country. It's hard to publicize any sort of or stimulate any growth of industry. You
yeah.
know,
And the adverts in there as well, pump
yeah.
like pushing the brands.
That's
absolutely.
it. And like you say, you wrote in or whatever to Jay and stuff. When I remember still even years into it, thinking like, oh crikey, you know, you've really made it if you've got it to the magazine. Do you know, I think I got featured once in the magazine, and I was like, that's it. I took a copy round to my nan's house, and she kept it in a magazine rack. Do you know what I mean? Like, uh,
The photo, the photo I got in there was me in a bloody dress, riding a border cross in a fucking wig. I was like, oh, for fuck's sake, man.
but yeah, like it definitely helped to stimulate the whole scene in the UK
Yeah, yeah.
as far as I can.
Oh,
How they would create content as well by like holding events or
Mm,
whatever it is, you know, going out and just creating stuff and um, like for instance the Arctic Challenge, which was a huge, you know, everyone talks about that 2004, 2005, wasn't it? 2005, which was the World Freestyle Championships in Western Supermare in a big dirt hangar that was yeah, it was just this epic, legendary event, and I did like miles of graffiti hoarding there. But it was famous because in the magazine they publicised, "Come along and help us build the dirt park for the week prior to the event." And basically, like loads of kids turned up with their parents to, come and help us build it, and you'll get some free tuition or whatever. And it was just like a health and safety nightmare. It was an absolute tractors everywhere, loads of own riders off their face, just like chaos in this building, turning this dirt park into an actual rideable mountain board, kind of building these giant rollers, drop-in towers at each end and stuff. I mean, it's just such an epic event.
Yeah.
Yeah, legendary, and loads of the American riders came out for that as well. So
That's right. A whole heap of bands played and stuff, like decent bands as well, you know,
yeah,
not just the local covers pub band sort of thing.
Yeah, it's a funny one. I painted a giant, I spray painted an enormous, great big sign with the logo on it for the World Freestyle Board Championships, ATB Magnol sponsor, whatever. And then they were going to crane it in, lift it, and put it behind the stage, and it was too heavy to lift up.
Oh, no.
At the side at the back. So if you did see the band, there was no backdrop because it was on like 8 sheets of marine ply that had been like battened at the back and was too heavy to
Oh
actually.
no.
But I have got another memorable memory from that, which is like 3 o'clock in the morning or something, abseiling down the drop-in ramps and spray painting logos, like sponsors' logos onto the ramps. I mean, that is just insane, you know.
I mean, you've been, I say, lucky enough. Obviously, it's a culmination of some hard work
and talent,
and talent. Yeah. But you know, you've made artwork your day-to-day living, you know, as far as I can see. You know, I'm assuming you're not stacking shelves down at Tesco's when you're not drawing and stuff like that.
Not anymore, but I was. So in around this time, so when I was with ATB Mag, I was doing a bit more illustration work, and I was doing regular storyboarding for like pop videos and corporate videos and TV commercials and stuff like that. And I was, because Wycombe's like 20 minutes from London, basically. So driving up to London quickly and just doing that kind of work was quite easy. And I was doing that maybe on average 2 to 3 days a week. And then I worked on a tennis magazine for a year that my brother designed. So I learned loads of Photoshop skills. That was 2001. And yeah, storyboards and illustration, and then painting and decorating. My dad is a printer, so I worked in my dad's factory quite a lot, either doing deliveries or, you know, there's always been, you got to pay the bills and you got to get some, you know, some pocket money.
Yeah.
So yeah, I've done all sorts of odds and sods jobs over the years while doing kind of art stuff as well. But it's always been kind of semi-related, I suppose, somehow, like painting and decorating.
I mean, obviously, forgive me if my timeline runs out a little bit here, but I'm assuming that at some point around the sort of end of the ATB Mag era is probably coming up for a new sort of collaboration with a board manufacturer.
What, for me?
Yeah.
Well, I think it all kind of happened like really organically and normally. So through the mag, I then knew loads of different people, and loads of different people would possibly approach me as well because they wanted some artwork or whatever, like the Turfware guys. So I did a load of stuff for Turfware, and they, you know, that was really cool. But then Hill 62 popped up. Also at the Arctic Challenge, I met Smiley and Kerry and some of those guys, and the Lard crew. So, you know, I started knowing those, you know, riding with those guys and making good friends with people who were closer to me, who were proper into it, you know, as in living and breathing it like you get, or like we get. Yeah, so it was all like Hill 62 was a really good one as well. So that was in Ivanhoe, which was about half-hour drive from me, and I taught there when Rob opened it up. And then that was a bit of a brand. I'd always had dreams as well. Like I've got, you know, sketchbooks full of rideatb.com, which was a website that I got and was going to start up. And, loads of stuff like that. But I'd constantly be drawing it and, just creating stuff anyway. And there was outlets for it. So whether it was the magazine and whatever. But yeah, when ATB Mag finished, I think there was a bit of a void for media, and it wasn't long. It was only a year or two before we kind of got together. Some of the guys already had, so as well as Lard, there was WX Crew, so Smiley was part of WX, so I knew Carl, and then Miles, who's lovely, been on with
Miles Hill,
a few of the guys have. Miles and Jack and whoever came from Hill 62 as well, so there was a good scene from there.
And the heydays of the sort of what do they call the regional clubs.
Yeah, absolutely. And the time of forums. So it was all on forum. Like after ATB Mag went, the whole of the internet was just starting to like electrify in forums, and the ATB Sports forum and Surfing Dirt were big, weren't they, for a while? And then, but yeah, we got together and we were like, we'd make our own website to fill the void, and I just create content like, I don't know.
And I think that was
like crazy.
It's pretty much the first time I went to online media properly, like with Mountainboarding.
Yeah, I think so.
I think, sorry, Dan.
No, not at all. No, I was just going to say it was like Remolition was that. So then wherever the name came from, I think it was Smiley and the guys brainstormed the name. But it was having a front cover. So it was very much like magazines. I grew up reading magazines religiously, like Snowboard, Graffiti magazines and ATB Mag. And then, so it was that transition time between magazines to websites to forums and, all of that. So I think Remolition having a cover that we changed every month, regular features and articles, it was just online, and a website seemed to be the way to go. And obviously when Roger came on board with tech, and Clive and various different people, I think it was actually Jack built it originally, and it was really dodgy before it went on to, slightly more advanced, whatever. I'm not very good with like back-end tech stuff.
No, well, me neither. If I'd only be reading it, I certainly wouldn't be involved in the making of it. Yeah. It's much easier these days with the aids of modern computers than it would have been back then. I think 2007 was when most people sort of got involved in Facebook, and before that, like you say, was that if we regard Facebook and YouTube as our sort of modern media point, before that you'd have had Friends Reunited and MySpace, and they were bordering on being exactly what you say, like forums and stuff, and very, very basic, but a lot of people really loved them because it was the birth of a UK community that could talk to each other without being in the same room, without knowing the other people. So
especially at the scene, the comp scene at the time was then huge. Like the UK had like 6 events or whatever, every summer, just over the space of like 6 weeks, there was an event every month, and all those different mountain board centres. So yeah, it was a real, and the tech, I think, drives a big side of that communication that happened then, as well as when you're racing or riding and wanting to share your experience of, I nearly died there, that corner, what tire pressure you ran in is the most important question. But yeah, I think that tech side and all that, there's lots of little things that sustain our subculture. Do you know what I mean? But that has always been propped up as well by other sports. So
yeah, I mean, we've certainly moved on from the Joe, what's my time, from on the stopwatches to, that I think the sort of actual timing technology started coming in properly with at the end of Joe Jonas, and then but really took hold in the Roger Swannell period as such. And
Roger Swan period. That's the name of my new book.
Is it? Well, you've got plenty. You could have the Joe Jones period, the Stu Kirk period, the Ralph LaRoche period, the Matt Brind era, because you know. I think it's Brind or Brind. I'm not sure. But yeah, like Remolition was an absolute cornerstone for the UK community, and I got to admit, from that sort of period from the mid 2000s through to the end of the 2000s, I was living most of the time in France then. So it kind of, you know, Facebook and Remolition during that times, it was really the only sort of English speaking media that I got whilst out there, you know.
Easy to keep your toe involved then.
Well, yeah, because you know, I'd go along to a few of the European events, but wouldn't know anybody, and you know, there'd be a few people that would be able to speak English that I'd try and latch on to. But yeah, like it certainly there were times there, you know, kept my eye in, but obviously, you know, into a scene that I wasn't, you know, in with.
I mean, it was just brilliant because there were just loads of people taking part in it. You know, I was just doing the skinning, if you like, and just doing the visuals and whatever, and I really buzzed off that and really enjoyed it. And I think there's something about creating art when it's not for money, because Remolition was, we never made a penny. You know, we never charged, we never wanted to charge, because there was always like, we raised some money, then we could do things. You know, we tried selling t-shirts, put the old t-shirt on just for tonight. Well, I still do wear it. Yeah, so it was hard, but I think the fact that we never charged for it was almost like a get out of jail free card. Like, it doesn't have to be too professional, because if you start charging people, then there's an expectation if you let them down. And I say I'm going to do stuff all the time, and then I don't do it. I've got this thing in my head, whereas if I say I'm going to do it, you know, out loud, then that'll make me do it, but it doesn't, and then I let people down.
Well,
yeah.
Well, I thank you for finally coming on the show as well.
Didn't ask me too long ago. But it's nice. It's actually really nice. Like, kind of, I think, you know, life's just changed in the last few years. So it's just like, I'm not creating that media. It's also about 2018. There's just, you know, because obviously riding a lot with Harry and Smiley and these guys around near here, that dropped off a little bit more recently. And along with, you know, daughter being born, work kicking off more, you know, being busier, having to make more money and focus on that. And if I get a day at the weekend, it's like then working or whatever, rather than going out in the woods playing. But I think that's why I was so prolific, or why I was able to produce so much work. I had stepkids at the time, which is interesting, you know, and really cool. And they loved it. And they came to a few Mountainboard events and stuff. But yeah, I think not, I don't know, just having that time and having that impulse, and it not being about money, and therefore it's not work. And I was sharing stuff that I loved, like another one. So for instance, this was one from ATB Mag. So it was printed in whatever issue. So that's the original artwork of a comic strip. So I think Carl from WX had actually had the idea of a comic strip. And I was like, yeah, I love comics. I want to do a Mountainboard comic strip as well. And then I did it. And that was basically describing a day we had riding in Aldbury with the Hill 62 guys, when we bombed down a hill, and then like a herd of about 100 deer ran out between us as we were bombing down the slope. So that was my reaction, was I wanted to do that. But to show you why I did that, so the process is like, there's a first rough plan of total thumbnail sketches, Tales from the Hills, I've called it there.
Nice.
And then the text that's going to go on it. And then the second plan is, you know, so because I used to storyboard, it's easy for me to do, kind of.
Yeah.
So it's like this is like the storyboards I used to do. Like, I did storyboards for Girls Aloud and Daniel Bedingfield and Atomic Kitten and all that kind of stuff. The directors of their videos. You see what I mean? So there's the guy, and he's bombing down the hill, and there's just different angles, and I just want to kind of draw it.
Yeah.
And then it gets inked up. So there's just the black and white. Right, photocopy, and then it got coloured in. So then just ink over the top. So I haven't actually got the mag copy here, but I've got it in a frame. I have it on my wall because that's a beauty, that one.
Yeah.
2005.
Amazing.
And then what I did is scanned that and added some little colour flares and stuff in Photoshop and put text over the top to make it read like a comic kind of thing. And it's just cheesy stuff about life and death, black and white, and magpie and being out, and
it's essentially just layering, isn't it? Like in a modern day, if using something like, I don't know, Figma or some other, any sort of, even the what's it, Adobe and stuff like that. It's so in modern day, it's so easy to put layers on. It's just a tap of a button and you're onto the next layer, and it's transparent and it's there, and you can get rid of the whole thing. Where, going back to when I was first started tattooing and stuff like that, there's so many layers that you draw out before you got to the point in which it would go on the skin. You might do it three times to get it onto the carbon paper on a light box, and that whole
hours and hours of work.
In Photoshop, the layers do stack up, right? And that's a perfect segue, my friends. So all around that time, because I was hanging out with ATB Mag Crew, and after that, and just through contacts, when Tom Lilo Kirkman got his first signature board, he just said, Dan, can you help with the artwork? He had the idea, and so we set to work. Talking about Photoshop layers, the link is that for the graphic, which you've got behind you, Dan.
Yeah. I can see one with wheels on down there as well behind.
Yes, I still ride my one. I've got a blank one as well. I have got one. But the layers in Photoshop, there's about 1 million of them. So there's Tom's signatures. So this is my folder for that board. This is my work folder. So all of the hands were done separately. So that's the one. I think there's a little geezer in the middle of that one. Some of these I actually gave away as comp prizes. So I think that one's the bottom of the board.
Yeah.
And then, so that's the kind of ink drawing. These are all just like pen and Sharpie and stuff. I don't know which way I was going. So it's just full because so in Photoshop, when I scanned all these in, there was like 200 layers or something, and the file that I created for that graphic was just ridiculous. This is why, this is the original plan for it. So this was the original when I started. So it's a sketch drawing of all the hands.
Yeah.
And I think I just got bored, or it wasn't working. Like it wasn't looking good enough. It wasn't doing what I wanted, and to redo it was going to take forever. So I kind of just thought, well, I need to make this in digitally rather than as one picture.
Yeah.
So I can see it behind you, Dan. It's just behind your head.
So some of it is indelibly marked on my skin now.
Oh yeah, I remember you got tats, didn't you? Oh, rad. Total badass.
Yeah, I think so. There's a few bits on there that you'll probably recognise there. So
there you go. So let's do that, because that's my hand.
Yeah.
Is it?
So that's your hand on my arm.
There you go. That is my hand on your arm.
And that's fucked up.
That's
and the little Remolition guy down here.
Yeah, the little shredder guy, the Santa Cruz guy.
That's it. Yeah, I think has it been stolen from Jim?
The Screaming Hound.
Jim Lee, he did loads of graphics for Santa Cruz, like surfboards, graphics from my first skateboard, which was like a Veriflex pull board, like that had plastic on the kick tail for for doing wheelies and slowing down. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? That's why I think I did one of the reasons, because I grew up with that kind of skateboarding when it was flatland and whatever. There wasn't going 30 foot doing a
Well,
double cork.
Santa Cruz Wheels on Fire sort of era.
Yeah. Slime balls and
That's-
yeah, exactly, all of that stuff. So
Oh.
yeah, big into like obviously skate graphics and all that kind of visual food.
Yeah.
So yeah, so that was a reference. So with
So that-
Demolition, I could just rip everything off as well, which was
So,
really fun.
well, when Tom came to you and said, "Oh, look, I've got a, a board
Oh,
to be made," uh,
yeah.
did he have an idea for the graphic, or was
Yeah.
that So
Yeah, so-
he was like, "I wanted some hands."
So on this one, exactly, yeah, I want like a pile of arms. It's like whether it's arms or hands or whatever, and it was hands, but there was a subtle. If it's arms, then it's actually a comment about war, man. You know, it's like a pile of guns because
Yeah.
there are guns. Put your guns up. You know, it's a bit like, I don't know. That's fine art. Fine art train. More superficially, it's just a pile of hands.
Yeah.
Like all different hands, massive, like a mountain of hands. There's another mock up there of like all the hands were like chained together in a weird link,
Yeah.
which was another option.
Went on to be made into a film called The Human Centipede.
La 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 la. I got 10 years old watching all horror films and stuff on bootleg VHS. And when you're a 10-year-old, it's like in the 70s and 80s. But I couldn't watch Centipede. I went off horror films when I turned about 30. I can't watch them now.
No.
There you go. There you go.
Don't do it.
Yes.
Slots can't do it either.
I don't know what the horror films, as far as I go, is the Goonies. That's about my fucking level.
Yeah, man.
Anything above that, you can fuck right off. No way, man.
But so then, but
Yeah.
obviously MBS they got you to do more than just Tom's board, and Tom had a couple of models, didn't he?
Yeah.
And
So
I can
basically,
see other
after
bits.
this, yeah. Sorry, go on, Dan.
No, I was saying I can see other bits in the background. Did MBS like that so much that they went, "We want you to do more," or
Exactly. That's totally it. Yeah, it went down. His board sold really well and did well. So they said, "Do you want to do next year's range, the whole range?"
Yeah.
You know, with art direction from Joel as well. So he's a very visual guy. He's a wicked guy. I've never met either of them in person. Never met them. As a thank you at the end, I have got a little canvas by Jay as well, which is cool. So I own an original artwork by Jay Lee, which is pretty cool. It's like collage. So some 1977 Buick or something. It's like, yeah. Anyway, yeah. So the series of boards were, entry level. So again, I brought these down because this is. I know. Also, I was really proud. I was so proud of all this work. So the final thing was doing the folder, the flyer, which I have on my wall up here. That's like right in front of me here. This picture, that picture.
Yeah.
Which is
Mick flying high.
Mick flying high, and it's also got Kingswood, which is my local spot. One of my photos of Kingswood. Kiteboarder, I actually don't know, but it's Harry and Liz. So Harry, obviously, a really close friend. That's me at the Lake District, and then Brindy and a photo that I took of Tom at Bugs, which was a summer sessions jam when Dylan Warren was over, and dude, that session went off. It was like just got Theo taking photos all the time, and like Theo's doing awesome now. So
isn't he just?
They're doing amazing now as well, which is brilliant. But back then, this was a real thrill to do. So this is the whole range of boards.
Oh, incredible.
And stuff like the Colt, which is the kids' entry level board, had a really weird geezer on it. He was like this totally weird geezer, and it started off as something else entirely, which was there's just reams of it in this folder. So these are MBS stencils that I was making to get the graphics to put on it. You see, to scan digitally and then collaged together. So there's an original drawing of the small cow. It's a small cowboy on a giant horse.
There was a sticker set made, I'm sure, with that on somewhere.
Yeah. And it's on. I put it on there at the bottom.
Ah, yeah.
Oh yeah.
Because that was going to be the original graphic. So there's the stencil. That's what it looks like as a stencil. And then there it is mocked up as the original graphic as I was going to have it. And then with feedback from MBS, from Joel doing art directing. And then all of a sudden we went, no, we want the weird geezer back, because I'd done a load of original ideas, which were just
being called the Cult as well. It kind of in keeping with the Force.
Yeah. And the core, I think it was the core. Yeah. So the core 90 and the core 95 are basically, the look of them is like a sticker bomb.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Because that's in board culture. Like, I've always sticker bombed my boards. Like, that's my, it's covered. It's my artwork on board, and I've still covered it over with stickers. Stickers rock. But I had to make all those stickers I made myself. So these are the original artworks for those. So that one in particular is just awesome. I don't know if I think it's supposed to be that way around.
Yeah, it works, but it works both ways.
I think I might have had some of the devil's lettuce that day and just produced a load of these. So that's the guy. So we picked that. After I made these into stickers, there's just like reams and reams of crazy drawings and, characters and then all these stickers and stuff before it then got collaged and turned into a board graphic. And the second Kirkman Pro, which that's the original artwork behind you, which I've now put everything down. Or did I not bring that sketchbook? No, there it is. So for the second, for this range, they offered Tom a second signature board, which was amazing. He was stoked. He was adamant on this one. He didn't really know what he wanted. All he knew was that he wanted, I'm not going to quote it, but a big rainbow. He wanted a big rainbow on the front, or as like the main graphic, because it was like a bit anti, because it was a bit, not really mountain bordery. That's why he went for it. It was to kind of like push it a bit. And yeah, basically he came over for a weekend. We did a load of riding. We hung out. He made a little video. I painted that in the background. So that's the Pro 95 graphic.
That's right.
Which that had worked through loads of different iterations that were really similar. So that graphic was originally on brown, or it was originally black and white. It's actually black and white. And then it became a brown background, like a cave painting, and it wasn't working. And then that had loads. But that was like the fourth or fifth time trying to paint it. And Tom videoed that in time lapse, and it's in a little video that he made of us when he came over to.
We'll have to check out Vimeo or something there.
I'll send you a link to it, man.
Yeah.
I'll send you Terrible Tom. If you Google Terrible Tom versus Dangerous Dan, you'll get that.
I mean,
video.
to this day, that Comp 95 is kind of revered as like one of the best boards of all time. I mean, I certainly highly desire one.
But I was lucky
and a slightly different shape on it, doesn't it? Because you got a flare out, almost like the Hosoi hammerhead style around the foot plates on it, haven't they?
That's right.
But yeah, and still the cap.
Sorry, Dan.
No. I have a propensity to overtalk, and yeah,
me too. Two Dan W's with a propensity to talk. Who knew? I prefer to let my art do the talking. Whereas Dan, props to you guys for always, for carrying on. Let's just get that done now. Keeping it going.
just keep it going. Just keep it.
Keep talking.
Going. um,
I'll keep for it.
so I mean, yeah, that generation
Yeah,
of
so
boards is
there you
still
go.
going.
So this is one of my sketchbooks at the time from 2005 or whatever. And Tom, when he was looking for his new board graphic, he was looking through this and he went, there it is. And that's the original page in my sketchbook that he loved. Tom loved it. And he just went, I want that as my graphic.
Nice.
Which,
I mean,
which is the
he
bottom
was.
graphic.
I think he's quite a creative lad in his own right, isn't he? You know, and certainly in his writing is a very unique style. So
Yeah.
it's to be expected that his taste in music, art, whatever is probably going to be a bit out there. Lucid dreaming.
It says a tiger purred loudly and then bit my arm off. Later, I fell to my doom. And it was basically that was a dream. That was the dream that I had. I woke up and did that because that dream was so vivid, and that was illustrating my dream. And so the bottom graphic, which is like a collage with the tiger on it, and the tiger's eating the hand that you've got tattooed on your fingers.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that kind of illustrates this fever dream of the tiger and all the things, and then it's got a sticker sheet as well. Oh, there it is. And that's that graphic.
Yeah.
Big rainbow at the front coming out of the guy's head, and he's falling into the dream, kind of thing. There you go. Yeah, and there were sticker sheets as well that went with those that MBS didn't produce or Maxtrack never printed. So everybody who bought a Pro 95 or a Pro 100 were supposed to get a sticker sheet to go with it to customize it themselves, but they never printed them.
That's it.
Actually, they're on a real nerd out. Real nerd out on this graph. This graphic has got some of the stickers on it. So, like, there's this one under my fingers, which is a giant snake.
Yeah.
Which is that is the tattoo of a 1980s rock god called Zodiac Mindwarp. And then there's a UFO, and then there's some men, and there was some Easter Island heads.
I remember. There were some Easter. That's it. Again, I think I've got an Easter Island head, and I've certainly got some of them.
We did get some printed. Basically, we printed some out ourselves and gave a load away at comps and stuff. So you might have. So there you go. Little fact. But yeah, what a dream, hey? What a dream.
For the fact that it's a sport that you love, and you've had so much input into a massive part of it, it must just stoke you so much.
Yeah. So it's that thing of in any media, any time. I mean, it's less so now because obviously those boards that was 2023 range. 2013. So you don't see those boards around as much now. But for the first 5 years, every photo of a sick rider in Costa Rica or some guy doing a triple backflip, whatever, on those boards was just like, yeah, it's really, really a privilege.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's only after them. I think it went over to Dylan Warren, didn't it not? I can't think of another after Tom. I can't think of another comp pro model between Tom and Dylan. I think Dylan's had 3 now, hasn't he?
Wasn't there an unbranded one? Wasn't there another one but it wasn't a signature? I can't remember. I don't know what came after.
I'm sure it'd be corrected.
What happened is after that, so that was a bit of a swell point in the scene, commercially and stuff. But yeah, I think what happened was the year after MBS. So I actually got paid to do those graphics as well, but it was literally like 100 quid a board or a graphic or something, and I opted to get a couple of the decks myself, like as payment kind of thing, because it was just thrilling. But the following year, they basically the graphics went to, they'd already got, some of the boards had already reduced to one graphic on both sides to cut costs, because printing two graphics and putting different, you know, twice the printing. So the following year, I think, or a couple of years after, they went to single graphic on all the boards, and the board range got chopped as well.
Yeah.
But that's what's really nice as well, because it was a bit of a, yeah, we got to do some really cool stuff, like on the Pro 90, which was the kiteboard graphic that was going to be made with bamboo. So it was like, can we do some kind of see-through graphic so you can see the bamboo that the deck is made of?
Yeah.
So that's one with like the candy skull on it and all the doodles and kind of clouds and stuff. And that was really lovely to be able to use the background layer of wood and then we just did black and white over the top. So that's a really nice graphic as well. Yeah, there's another, see that in the background. So that was a graphic that was painted and never used. So that was another possible.
Oh, that's,
I like that.
It's a giant, it was like spray can, painty, abstract trees. And it was kind of essentially, go back there. You know, it was that middle kind of third with a bit of a painty stuff at the bottom. And it looked wicked, but it was actually really similar to a previous deck that they'd done, which I think was out of Dirt Head's deck, or I can't remember what it was. But there was another one which was like yellow and red and graphic-y and with tree silhouettes and stuff. So it was too similar to a previous graphic.
Yeah, I think, like you say, by the time the MBS, I mean, I don't want to speak out of turn. I wouldn't know what was going on behind closed doors as such, but I should imagine that the shrinking of the community probably started around the time of that, you know, Tom's leaving of MBS and the halving of their range. And probably, and also the design of the decks themselves, you know, they moved away from the snowboard style decks into, you know, more easily produced skateboard style construction, hadn't they?
Yeah, a few of them are different. So that reverse cap is that snowboard move, which those boards were at the time. And I mean, it goes with fashion as well, doesn't it? It kind of seems to go in waves, like the current, you know, and that convex, you know, and all these different things which float in and out at the time. I mean, I have to say, I haven't ridden any of the latest MBS gear that they've produced in like the last kind of 3 or 4 years, but I've been riding less. So I suppose it's like my exposure to those boards, and I'm not hammering my boards, so I don't need spares, which is also when you tend to buy
when you start spending.
Yeah, you'll have to do some really horrendous power slides to warrant a new set of tracks, aren't you?
I can't do horrendous power slides. I can do power slides well. You can for sure.
But so, I mean, do you think? But I mean, that obviously wasn't the end of you within mountain boarding. You've continued to put out artwork.
We stayed on. So Remolition carried on for a few years. Rog had kind of almost had his fill. He was made such amazing stuff with it. And you never get a thank you. I mean, you get a mild thank you, but you don't get a proper thank you. And it was just it's quite demanding, isn't it? You give a lot of yourself, and I think after a while, that's not Rog. I mean, with Smiley as well. Smiley had broken himself quite a few times. Jack and Miles had both kind of moved on. So Remolition, not that it became just me and trying to do it. It was just frequency was getting longer apart, and yeah, some stuff was never published as well, which I still feel guilty about. You know, we did I think an interview with Senka and a few other international riders and stuff, and then that didn't get published. And Cody, even so, I've got one of Cody's decks that was supposed to be a Remolition prize for a competition. and it's just a,
I think I won that one. I'm pretty sure I won that.
I did. Yeah, you won the collab. Collab, not really, that's never really been ridden. But this is the perk, you see. This is the perk of what I do. It's actually because I don't like paying for things. So
Yeah.
I buy a really old board that I didn't pay for. And my balance board was left on Fanny Bus after our European tour. So that's the board that I'm on that board a lot. So that's my kind of fitness. It's just like if I'm. This is my studio that I'm in now, my art studio that I rent. And if I need to get, I'm feeling it now. I get like nervous energy. I've been sitting still too long, so I'll just go and do some balance boarding and stuff. And yeah, that was left on the bus after our European tour, where we were three months around Europe, and it was given to the magazine to review, and to have as a as an editorial, basically. Review it, give it a glowing report, keep it, all play with it. Everyone played with it. We had it on tour for 3 months on the bus, and then I got to keep it at the end. So that's really nice that I've still got that.
Was it an Indo? Is it an Indo, or was it another brand?
No, it's an Indo board. It's a classic big surfy one. So it's a big round thing like that.
Yeah.
Big, heavy industrial tube like that.
Yeah.
Like that.
The best, the best of the balance boards. We had when I spent quite a bit of time living up at Bolesworth and or Hart Hill, as it was known in its final days. That was our entertainment of an evening when there was no more light and we were just reliant on the cabins for our evening entertainment. It was just spent on them.
Yeah, so it's really nice. So I've seen some. I was kind of inspired with it by quite a few guys, especially Richie Hurd. I don't know if you remember that name, but he was a surfer. He was such a cool guy, and he could do handstands on it.
Right, super blonde hair from memory.
Yeah, super blonde hair. Yeah, yeah, and he was just so amazing that it was kind of quite inspiring. And when I got to keep this, I kind of practiced a lot so that I could be like Richie.
So how many do you said your young and now is what, coming up 3.5?
Yeah.
Is it a little boy or a little girl, did you say you had?
Got a little girl called Fleur. She's awesome. She's currently obsessed with Frozen.
As all little girls go through.
Yeah. We both got daughters. We've both had the Frozen. Luckily now Tabitha's 9, so we're into horrible history, which I quite like.
I just painted a history mural, Slogs. I spent a week in a school, so same amount of time as God Made the World. I painted the history of man. It's bonkers. It's like giant circles, and in each circle is Stonehenge, the pyramids being built, right up to the suffragettes, to an iPod advert right at the end. Yeah, bonkers.
You really do see an absolute range of work, don't you? I mean, everything from like that. We've seen over the last couple of years, I've seen man caves with superheroes in.
Another dream. So that's on my list of dream projects, like designing a range of boards for MBS. That's in a personal level because that, so work-wise, that was so painting murals for basically the stunt team, the stunt guys behind for James Bond. It's like so cool. So it's like a stunt training facility at home that he uses. Yeah, just epic.
I'm just imagining massive, great big crash mats and groups of blokes turning up every day and throwing each other off and practicing uppercuts.
Yeah, so it's like giant wooden structures for trampolining off, and we painted them to look like skyscrapers, like 3D, going back with a life-size King Kong coming out the side, and then life-size Spider-Man swinging in, and then a ball cube being chased by something else, and a DeLorean and TIE fighters, and it was just epic. So cool.
But Yeah, I mean that commissions for the National Trust motor quite recently.
That's gone really well. Yeah, it's gone really well. Yeah, I think over the year, when I started working with Chiltern Rangers in about 2010, I started working with Soulful Creative. So that was when we were running the Remolition blog, and I really enjoyed doing Rem Extra. And it's still like it's a Google, so it's still there, which is cool. When I look
Yeah, it
back,
is. It's still there.
yeah, it's like, wow, there's so much stuff just spilling out. I used to really enjoy doing like random tractor. So it was like my own little magazine, and I'd change the pictures on the side, and I'd change the picture like every week of the tractor. Because whenever you go mountainboarding, you normally see a tractor.
Yeah.
So it was the random tractor. Like you go on the website, and if nothing content, at least there's a different tractor. But yeah, and just making up images. I mean, this is all the analog stuff. You know, I've got reams of digital stuff. Like Remolition just produced so much digital content of just weird images and mountain board jokes and kind of like memes, I suppose, illustrations and yeah, it's fun.
It's it definitely is. There's a few. It seems to be slightly less in the modern thing, but maybe because it's a smaller community these days. But there is that innate desire in certain beings amongst us that just have to spill out. You can't keep it in, you know.
Yeah, I think mountain boarding as well has been a really amazing like training ground for talent. It's almost like loads of people have cut their teeth in mountain boarding, and if you do evolve, or you know, it's a crossover sport and it fits your life and whatever, but however it spills into whatever you do next or as well, it's informing that. And what I mean by that is, while Tom was being the sickest rider in the world, he was videoing it all. He was travel documentary. They were making it. They were just lads shooting themselves, having fun in a field or whatever. But he was learning how to be an awesome filmmaker. You know, and the same with Theo. So Theo is now this, you know, such an epic snowboard photographer and doing really great things because when he was younger, he was mountainboarding.
Yeah.
Documenting for fun, just doing it, learning. And the same with events, like Smiley used to do Beat Lounge and stuff. And then when he went into the ATBA, they were helping do that. And it was all kind of, I think my art stuff and the fact that I was, like I say, when I was writing Rem Extra, I did Upfest for the first time. So I remember blogging about doing this massive graffiti festival because when I started working with Soulful Creative, we were selling canvases at art fairs, and that, you know, and all the guys were like, we're all doing kind of graffiti-ish work, fine art, you know, for people's walls. But it was just after the economic crash in 2008, and no one was buying paintings for 500 quid. But there was a big market for murals in offices, restaurants, whatever. So that's when I got that experience. That experience of mine just kind of went. I'd done quite a few murals and I'd done a bit of graffiti and whatever. But working with an agency that did that, then I met loads more graffiti guys and I did graffiti festivals as well as the mountainboarding and whatever. So I think when it came to a few years ago in my hometown, because I'd be hiding in the woods every weekend. You know what I mean? Just riding mountain boards and doing mountain board stuff up until about 5 years ago, when I kind of went into my local art centre and was like, oh my God, really? This needs some help. And I kind of volunteered a bit and I'm kind of still there. And that's, you know, a lot of my time and a lot of my effort. And it's because it's my work. So I knew about it. And because of mountain boarding, I kind of know how to run events or whatever. So in those kind of a couple of years pre-COVID. But do you know what I mean? It's kind of like that when they say it's on 50 year and it's art hustle. Just every day I'm just like blagging, you know, I can just draw. I'm always telling people I'm good at drawing, but everything else, like, I'm pretty rubbish. So I'm a crap manager and I'm my own manager. So
well, you've got to be quite a good blagger by the sounds of things.
yeah, but actually, as you know, as Slog said, I put the hours in. I could already draw really well by the age of by big school. By 13, I could already draw comics, basically, because I learned myself at home from a book called How to Draw Comics the Marvel Way, and that taught me how to draw. And I was into drawing. My dad was a printer, and we had as much paper as we wanted.
Yeah.
So drawing on the back of badly printed things. So I've got a well, even if I pick up these mountain board bits. So a lot of my fine art, like this, this was I think a wintry one from ATB Mag, which is like collage. So I've kind of used different as a surfer and a bike rider and a snowboarder and an X-ray. And then there was I superimposed a big picture of a mountain boarder over the top and then added some text and whatever. And that was one of my ATB Mag things. But that kind of looks a bit like the paper that we used to get as kids. You know what I mean? Because it would go through the printing press several times and like layer up with CMYK and distorted images and stuff. So I've got like this real thing for this fine art, like Robert Rauschenberg and different artists who, textures and layers and all that stuff.
Well, I mean, that's certainly seen in your work. I mean, that has become I don't know if this is a bad thing or a good thing or what, but I would say that is your style, if you like, those many layers.
Maybe. Layers is actually a really good way of looking at it, because I don't think I have a house style, and people say, oh, I can recognize your work, which I think is fair enough if I'm doing a style. But I think whoever knows me knows almost like the tip of the iceberg of what I actually do. And my social media is just like something has to give. And I'm always taking millions of photos, shooting little videos. I even make reels sometimes, and I'm just not sharing them. So it's kind of, it's almost like I don't have the time.
Yeah.
Because it's work. It's just interesting work. And it's different to mountain boarding because I'm not mountain boarding as much. I'm not then taking photos of mountain boarding, I suppose.
Yeah. Oh, well.
Yeah.
Keep on cracking out the good artwork on especially with your local scene. I mean, like you say, working with the local arts centre, we've seen bits of your artwork popping up in your local town centres, and so the local people to where you are obviously must know your work as well as the mountain board crew.
Yeah.
Really.
Yeah. It's really nice. It's really nice having like a little local cult status.
People don't see artwork every day.
No. Actually, if people see artwork being done in front of their eyes, it's like magic. Because people are like born being able to draw rather than being like guitar, just learning some skills, learning some techniques, and then practice. And when people say, no, but there's something nature, it's like, no, that's just being a fan and like being one. So as a rider, it's exactly the same. You want to be like, I want to be like Austin Robbins. I want to be as good as riding as Austin Robbins at the Arctic Challenge, that dropping in off the top or whatever, or Tom on that particular BX course. I want to ride like that. That's what you got to do, and that's what drives you forward and makes you enjoy your journeys.
Well, look, dude, I'm looking at the time now and just thinking I don't want to be dragging out too long for any of us. But is there any bits of your is there any bits of your history that we've missed? Or
yeah, let's talk about me some more. No, let's talk about all the other radness that goes on. So big shout outs, obviously, to everyone who's helped along the way and who has supported and gone, yeah, that's cool, and encouraged, because that's what makes you do it more, isn't it? When people you like they're telling you it's cool, then, or people you trust as well. So yeah, it's really nice.
It's definitely very cool. I think
I have to say it's been brilliant just sitting here and just listening and looking at some of the work you've done and seeing and like knowing the work you've done in the mountain board community, but actually seeing that the sketches, the background to it, the work that's gone into it, it's blown me away.
Yeah. I'm going to be very interested to see how this episode does in views as such, because the historical sort
It's
of
like, are you saying you want more goss? Do you
yeah,
want me to,
well, yeah.
want me to talk about people behind their back?
Matt or Luke Goss? What are we going?
Goss, want to hear them dross?
Yeah.
Yeah, it'll be fun. I could do some. This is the thing. I say I do it because I've wanted to do kind of YouTube videos or something for ages, and it would be really lovely doing this or doing some kind of. I quite like to do like coffee table books, but not like wanky coffee table books. You know what I mean? Just like maybe little fanzines or something. So
Yeah.
there will probably be 4 or 5 for mountain boarding, like my photography, or maybe even split that up into, lifestyle round Europe or whatever, freestyle, free ride.
Yeah.
Got so many photos, cool photos from over the years, as well as all the artwork. Yeah, and then work stuff, work projects, comics, and all these other avenues, murals. It's kind of it's madness.
It's I mean, if ever you do feel the desire to do another sort of coffee table style book thing, I know that Reese Crilly's mentioned about doing a coffee table book style thing as well, but more sort of written based. There's always what we got here.
There's a nice doodle. Can you see that mad doodle?
I'm trying rapidly to chuck it up onto the big screen.
Right. There you go. Well, that's the kind of thing that you need. It doesn't really work holding it up on Zoom. You just need a picture to look at. But that was an M.
And
there was a B, and then there was an S. So from afar, it just looks like MBS. Once it was,
and then you get.
But it's another just alternate ideas that were never used kind of thing. But it's just
with I hate to say this is probably the first announcement as such, but I am almost certain that there will not be a Dirt Live from the UK champs this year, or at least not in the same way as we did last year with all the cameras and bits, because unfortunately there's a 4-yearly.
Couldn't be there.
Yeah, the Olympics are going on, and the crew who were doing that are involved in that. So yeah, it's unlikely that's going to happen. Maybe just me flashing my phone about a bit on a live broadcast. But that said, it does also mean I may have enough time and inclination to bring the mountain board museum down, and hopefully grab a tent off of Birkbeck for it and put it out for people to have a look at all the old boards again, and all the old issues of ATB Mag in one place, and so on. So if here we go on the scrounge. If you happen to be at the champs this year, and if you happen to desire to bring along a small selection of things to show off, I'm sure that would be an absolute jizz fest for every single mountain boarder that knows that era of the UK scene.
I can't show off with my riding, so I have to show off with my artwork instead.
Well, I mean, you've only got to look around Bugsboarding to see your artwork, but I mean, it's
There's a nice collab with Sai that Sai did all the mountains and stuff in the background of that rider.
Oh, yeah. I mean that's another iconic thing. There, that big what I don't even know what it is. The back end of a truck, isn't it? Or like the truck.
Yeah, it's like an Arctic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know if there's any of those bits and pieces and you happen to be in the field, bring a small selection and
love to
let the community get up close and personal with some of the stuff that is iconic to mountain boarding.
Yeah, it'd be quite sad to see a couple of them, because these big MBS paintings, that original Kirkman Pro and the 95 got water damaged because they were being really well stored in my garage when it flooded.
Oh no! But that's part of the story.
It is indeed.
How much artwork has been in the bottom of bunkers and saved from fires and God knows what over the years. It's all part of it.
Yeah, it's all good. Yeah, I'd love to show some of it because, like I say, it's even nice going into my kind of office earlier and getting all this out.
Just you having a route around in amongst it.
Sorry?
Yeah.
Just you having a route around amongst it, not seen it for a while.
Yeah. It was really cool. And like it is mad as well, like looking through ATB mag stuff and just like random little pages, like I did that advert, and then there'll be a picture of me in the background. And then it's just, I mean, it's rad stuff. Yeah, really.
I can never say this word.
It's the raddest sport, mate. That's why.
It is. It proper is. It's why we're all still here 20 years later, dribbling over the primes of our lives and still attempting to think we've got some kind of gusto like I might once have had.
Just those moments. I said, like, even this going out with Si and Mark at the weekend and just like ragging it on this e-board, and just there was a few moments where I was in the tube. I was like barreled, those moments of elation when you're riding. It just feels so natural and good, and everything disappears for that run, whatever.
Nothing else matters at that point.
Yeah,
that's the feeling. Well, look, let's look to wrap it up there then, if that's all right. If there's any more thanks or anything, your personal shouts you want to
everybody.
That's the one.
I'll forget you all. So
yeah, if you just go blanket, you're not offended. No one there, aren't we?
Sweeping arm.
Everybody who knows me, all my friends and followers.
Go follow Decreate and do whatever that.
I've never even Decreate as well was like, it was one thing and then it was another, and then I used it in Mountainboarding for like photo things and whatever. And now it's like, it doesn't feel right that it's my kind of corporate work doing murals in schools or community projects and this kind of stuff. So it feels a bit weird, but I don't know. I'm not very professional. So there you go.
You're doing all right from where we're stood, brother.
Yeah, Decreate.
Yeah.
Look, and if ever you fancy coming down to Cornwall to the freestyle mecca that is the track, there's always open doors and coffee and food for you down there, bro, and plenty of jumps to do some sick grabs on.
Yeah. I do one now.
That's it. Yeah.
I can tweak them though. I can tweak them, so that's pretty cool.
There you go.
Perfect.
Thank you very much. We really appreciate you taking your time to come on and showing us just the wonder that was this episode. It was amazing.
Brilliant. That's it.
Thanks, Matt. We're not talked about knobs and dirt enough. It's a pleasure. Thank you for inviting me, and big up everyone else who's been on and who will be on and is in Mountainboarding.
Yeah. Well, we're this close to 100. We've got to get there now, haven't we?
Yeah, I'll come back on for you.
Yeah, would you?
100th birthday party.
Would you come back on again? It doesn't have to be in this same way of just the three of us. It could be on like a group with more of us.
Ooh. Maybe I might get a bit more nervous with too many people. I tend to like.
Yeah, fair enough. Well, look, maybe at some point we'll get you back in next time you're feeling brave and want to show off some other amazing work. You're always welcome, bro. And I can't wait to come shred with you at the next.
Welcome, anytime you're in London, give us a shout.
Perfect. Right, ladies.
Thanks a lot.
Take it easy. Thanks, boys.
See ya.
Cheers. See ya.
Way aye, man. That was dead canny as out that like. Cheers for tuning out to listen. Now, before you go yem, don't forget, if you want to keep getting doing with the door-to-door fun, like and subscribe. Get amongst it. Shy Ben's getting out.